The whole community came together. First of all, I want to thank Bust, Wizz, LG, and Kit for putting all this together, making it look nice and so on, right? And especially working with the data and creating the sheet, the first one. And on top, of course, I want to thank you guys for participating and sending in 10,874 chaos and 3,654 guardians, dude. To see the total value, right? 816k gold and 180 million of silver. Wait, that's wrong.
Ooh, that's kind of small. Yikes.
In total, it was 15k almost Ember dropping content, right? With the Guardians and so on. And the total gold value was actually 1.1 million gold. We farmed 1.1 million gold. And 283 million silver. So the gold bar distribution already shows kinda a little bit how the percentages are, right? This week, in the trial week, we had a 50k drop. This week, we didn't have one. I would assume it's below 1% chance. So out of all the gold drops, it's kind of almost equal up to 10k, around that, right? And then at 20k drops up hard. First of all, because it can only drop in higher level chaos, right? And especially the 50k bar, which I only have seen in a 1600 chaos so far. So I guess that's one of the reasons why we didn't see it, right? But in total, unrested chaos was at 7.55% drop rate. I would say we're definitely, with that amount of chaos, I think we can be within 1%, I would say, of the truth. 1-2% of the truth. So I guess you can take this value as you know, given, kinda. And in rested chaos, it was almost double, which kind of makes sense. But on the other hand, you know, you run basically 3 days of chaos, 6 chaos, instead of 1-2 chaos, basically. So rested still makes, unrested still makes sense, right? Guardians, same kind of thing. Unrested Guardians a bit lower. I don't know if that's just bias or like, you know, it was just unlucky or whatever. If it should be actually the same as the chaos, we don't know. But what we found is like 5.25, right, for unrested Guardians. And around 12, kind of the same as the chaos for rested Guardians. Yeah, the sample size is way lower, right, obviously on the Guardians. That's a good point compared to the chaos, right? Like in total, we had 10k chaos, but only 3k Guardians. Okay, so that's the overview, right? Okay, let's see. Let's see the graphs then. Boom. Okay, so loot from Embers. What's interesting for me, especially, is like gold is like 15%, right? Silver is around 21. But you see already a pattern, right? It's almost always the same kind of size. Because look, this is gold, 15. This is silver, 21. Card XP, around 20%. Everything card related. That would be cards in the prediction that we're always doing, right? And so on. Is also around 20%. Then honing chests, if you add it up, is also around 20%, right? So it's kind of a really nice pie chart. If we added all those up, it comes out to be almost equal, right? There was a few legendary selectors. There were actually 4 of them. Epic selectors, yeah, we all know that those are super common, right? Out of the card drops. And card XP we just threw into one, so we don't know, you know, if it was big card XP, small, whatever it was, right? It was card XP. We didn't split it up like the other stuff. Okay, so in general for the community, rested, unrested chaos, how many they run? As you see here, 72% of you guys run unrested chaos. I feel like that's pretty realistic also with my runnings, right? I do 6 unrested, and then on top sometimes I do 1-2 characters rested, right? Makes kind of sense. I think most people are like that, right? On the Guardian side, on the other hand, it surprised me a little because I run Guardians always rested. I never unrest Guardians, actually. But you guys do it like half-half almost. Chat is super degen. There's absolutely no way you run 60% of your Guardians unrested. Gold versus silver. This is basically, again, almost a perfect 25 distribution. Like rested Guardian gold drops 25% versus silver, right? It's almost all the same, right? The only thing that's a bit higher out of the ordinary is the rested Guardian silver drops. Whereas in the Chaos Dungeon, it's almost the same, right? Silver is a bit higher, but everything else is almost the same pie chart. Okay, let's see further. What do we have here? Gold drops from Chaos and Guardians. So 42% of the gold drops from either Chaos or Guardians came from unrested Chaos drops. Now the question is, does it really happen more often? I would say it suggests 100% that it happens more often in Chaos. Because look, unrested Chaos drops 42%, rested Chaos drops 32%, and then the Guardian gold drops are way lower. So it just reflects how many we found. It's not really saying, okay, gold drops more in Chaos Dungeons than Guardians. I misunderstood that at the first second. And then, of course, which drops more regularly? It seems like they're almost equal. We saw that on the first page, right? Like 1.5k versus 10k was actually the same chance, if you look at it. Especially if you're in a Chaos Dungeon that can drop it. And we realized that you can drop 10k almost immediately in tier 3. And 20k, I have to look through the numbers exactly, but I think it's 1490 plus, if I remember correct. That's why probably that one is a bit lower, and it's of course rarer. I haven't heard of many people dropping 20k bars, right? It was 3 in the research, whereas the others, we had quite a bit of numbers, right? One thing I wanted to show you a bit behind, what actually surprised me a lot, okay? So let's start at the... Okay, so basically 1600 plus, we had not too many, to be fair. It was early on, Akan, right? Not too many people were 1600, to be fair. So there's 78 Chaos Dungeons total that were ran, right? But what actually surprised me was this. Some people ran lower than 1370 Chaos Dungeons. That's mind-boggling to me. I don't even know how you end up nowadays there. But they did. One guy even found an Ember. A small honing chest. I hope he used it to get to 1370, man. 14 Chaos. He ran 2 Chaos every day in the challenge on that 1325 character. Let's go into the more interesting part. Like, I would say most people are sitting somewhere around 1445. That's the old Lopangos that you never upgraded to 1490, which is now the, you know, gold-free honing zone. And then in reality, the biggest part is, of course, 1490 and more. As you see here, 1540 up to 1580 is like the majority of the Chaos. Okay, that's just some general community stats, what kind of roster you guys are rocking, kind of. What's interesting with the Guardians, though, that's another thing I love. 387 people of you run Total Descaluda, guys. And some people even ran it unrested, dude. Like, no offense, but that's crazy to me. I believe that guy just goes in solo, blasts his flare, destroys him, right? There's no way someone does it different, right, than that. But yeah, I can understand it. It's still crazy to me that the numbers are that high for it, right? That's still crazy to me. Now, Kungalanium dropped off hard, I feel, since we're higher levels, right? People just don't like that Guardian, I guess, as much, obviously, as we can see. Because this is a 1415 Guardian, right? This is 1460. And this Kaliligos is 1490. Which has not even double of Descaluda, actually, interestingly. Although we said that the majority of people that ran Chaos are 1490 plus, right? That's actually interesting, right? Now looking at Hanu and Sona, it's super equal, I would say. 1200 versus 1200 something, right? Seems super equal. What is unequal here is more people do Sona well unrested than they do Hanu unrested. Percentage-wise, right? Like if you look at this, rested Hanu, 500 versus 700 unrested. Here, only 400 versus 900. Does that make sense? Percentage-wise, I think more people do Sona unrested than they do Hanu unrested. Pretty cool numbers, I feel. I don't know. I really enjoyed looking at those. I hope you guys do too. Data is data. Exactly. Now, let's be honest. Everybody wants to know who won. Do we look at some numbers here?